everyone. I want to thank you for joining me for another Saturday morning share. So today I'm going to be doing two cards. They're going to be similar, but there'll be two different variations. One will be a shaker card and one is going to be a regular card. So I'm going to be using dies from the Simon Says Stamp balloon shaped dies, and I'm using one of the larger ones as well as the more circular one. I've used some masking tape to just attach them to my paper, and then I flip them over and put them on my Genius magnetic platform. I know using the magnetic platform is supposed to prevent you from having to tape your dies to your paper, but I find that I have a hard time placing them onto placing my paper, onto the die and ensuring that it's in the right spot because you can't see through the paper. So I'm still figuring it out, and I'll let you know once I finally get it what the trick is. Anyways, so now I'm just placing the die cut front panels on top of my card backing, and I'm just using a pencil and lightly tracing out the die cut image. I just want to make sure that I know where I need to cover with the next step of the card. So I'm going to be using distress inks to cover the center portion of the die cut, or the exposed portion of the die cut, and they will be showing through. So I just want to make sure that I have enough ink down on the paper to entirely cover that exposed portion. So I'm going to be using my favorite distress inks. I think I always go to Peacock Feathers. It's such a pretty color, and I love how it looks when you mix it with Dusty Concord, which is my other favorite distressing color. So it's always a go-to blend that I find myself going to all the time. So I just blend those two together. Sometimes I blend in a little bit of Faded Jeans, but in this case I didn't, and I still seem to get a little bit of that blue in between the two colors there. And so now you'll see that I've covered off the entire area that I need to cover off, and to ensure that my die cut is completely covered off. So I repeat the same thing with Faded Jeans and Peeled Paint, which are my next go-to combinations. And again, I'm just using my ink blending tool, my round blending tool. I'm just applying it directly to my ink pad, and then I stamp off. I stamp the sponge off a little bit on my mat before I bring it to the paper, just to make sure that it gets a really even look when I apply it. And sometimes I still get it streaky, and I just continue going over the area to kind of blend it out. So for this particular card, I'm going to be splashing a little bit of water onto the distress ink and watching it react. And I really like the texture that it brings. So while I was recording this, my hard drive filled up. So you'll notice that I missed the stamping of the borders along this card. So the left card has a border along the bottom, and the right card has it along the left-hand side. It's the die that I used, or the stamp that I used is from the Simon Says card kit for December. I think it's called Winter Wishes. And I just stamped it in Simon Says in Stampin' Up! In Island Indigo. Next, I die cut 3 of the Simon Says Stamp Happy Birthday dies for both cards, so 6 in total. And then you'll see that I'm using multimedia matte here to adhere the different layers together. Once I've glued them all together, then I just put them underneath my block and let the weight of the block press the layers together and kind of sandwich the die into one thick kind of piece of chipboard. I normally, when I'm doing this, I use multimedia matte, and I just put tiny little daubs of glue directly behind the die, straight from the bottle. This time I tried using my finger, and I found it was really messy, so I don't advise it. So the next step after that is I attached some foam adhesive to the back of the front panel of my card, and now I'm just kind of working on the placement for my happy birthday die. It's a little bit longer than the space that I have there, so I've kind of slanted it a little bit. When I finally glue it down, I actually cut off a little bit of the Y just to kind of compensate for the fact that it's a little bit too long for the space. I guess a little bit more planning on my part, and I would have trimmed down the left side of the front panel to allow for more of the die to show. But again, sometimes you make these little mistakes, and that's kind of what handmade cards are all about. So you just keep on moving, right? So once I glue my die cuts with multimedia matte, I again just put my block on top just to allow all of the intricate die to adhere to the card front. Then to embellish this a little bit, I took a wood veneer piece from my stash. Can't remember where it came from, and I just used some multimedia matte to glue that down. So that's the one card. For my left-hand side card, though, halfway through, I kind of decided it would be cool to make it a shaker card. So I just decided to cut some transparency, just wide enough to cover off the front of my card. And I used some multimedia matte along the edge and then applied my transparency right over top. I use normal printer transparency, nothing fancy for my shaker cards. Once I was done that, I removed some of the excess multimedia matte that had squeezed through. I know it normally dries pretty invisible. However, on the transparency, you notice the multimedia matte, so I made sure to wipe it off as best as possible. Next, I went ahead and I glued some sequins directly to the back of my card front because I like having shaker cards where there's always something visible and when you don't glue anything down, things tend to settle on the bottom. So I always glue everything down, or I glue some pieces down, and then I have some loose pieces that shake around. And because I'm only using one layer of foam adhesive, I didn't actually put a lot of sequins there because there's not a lot of room for them to move around. The thing with shaker cards is they tend to be really hard to mail because they're bulky. So in order to ensure that I was thin enough that I could put it in the mail when I wanted to, I wanted to keep down the bulk. And then I just went ahead and folded back the top, the crease at the top of the card front, and those are my two cards for today. So I want to thank you so much for watching. I've had such a ton of new subscribers. I'm so excited to have you, and thanks for watching and keep subscribing. Thanks everyone. Bye.